right, so we're gonna make some homemade pesto today. I am by no means a chef, a fancy chef. I have 3 boys that are hungry and I need to feed them, and we're trying to go to more weekday vegetarian. So pesto with some pasta and sneak some vegetables in seems like a great idea. The other reason I'm doing this, I have, as you'll see, tons of basil. This is all from a huge basil plant outside. Cue the still picture. It's the basil beast. So I have tons of this basil, so we're gonna use that. So to do this, we need basil, some olive oil, some garlic, which we have in cloves. We have lemons, which we've juiced and zested, some grated Parmesan cheese, and then roasted walnuts. I just threw the walnuts on a pan and we put them in for on broil for 8 minutes, maybe some shaking in between. You can probably do it less than 5 minutes and that'll be good too. And then this is gonna be our ultimate product. So some pesto that we're able to put in the freezer. You can freeze this and pull it out later. It's good up to a year. So we're hopefully gonna get a good stash here. So let's quickly run through this. I've done some prep work. I know it's not the fancy food shows where we're doing everything right, but we're gonna try to put it together in a quick dad trying to get food together mode. So 4 cups of basil. I kind of stuffed it in there. We're gonna put it in our food processor here. I don't know if this is a Ninja or something, whatever we have, but we're gonna put all that in, stuff it in nice and deep. All right, boom, basil. Now next thing you're supposed to take is a lemon. So here's our lemon zest. We're gonna dump in the zest of 1 lemon. So 1 lemon zest. And then we're gonna put in 1 lemon's juice. Put the juice of a lemon, boom. Next, we're gonna get some 3, 4, 5 cloves of garlic, however much you like. You just have to skin it, but we're just throwing that in. It's gonna get blended up. Next thing we need is some nuts. I'm gonna grab some of our almonds here, about 2/4 of a cup. I like nuts, so we're gonna do a little heaping, a little bit more. Put the almonds in. All right, next, grated Parmesan cheese. So we're gonna take some of our Parmesan cheese, again, about 2/3 of a cup. If you like a little bit more Parmesan, that's okay there too. Boom, Parmesan cheese. All right. Once you get everything out, this becomes a whole lot easier. So the only other things we're gonna do is our seasoning. We're gonna put a little salt, maybe half a teaspoon. I don't really measure, I just kind of half a teaspoon-ish. Throw a little bit of that in. And then some pepper. You can use ground pepper. I'm just gonna do same thing again. Maybe a couple peppercorns, put that in. Again, it's nice if you wanna be fancy. I'm not fancy, I'm cooking for distance here. So now, we're gonna top it and crush it. Check that out. So you can see things are starting to get chopped up. So now what we're gonna do is just slowly add some of that, a little less than a cup of olive oil. Add some of that, spilled, that's all right. Let's put a little bit, crush it like that. And then each time we do this, we're gonna scrape the sides, kind of make sure that nothing's sticking on the side. Bring that in. Wipe it down. Add a little more of our olive oil. There's a lot of olive oil in pesto, which is a little unfortunate. So we're just repeating this step. You can see there's still some chunks there of the almonds. A little more olive oil. A little scrape down. The rest of the olive oil, just be done with it. And then one more go. looking here? Not bad. So there's one last mix. Scrape everything. All right. Now we'll take our blade out. Get that scraped off. So initially I was kind of intimidated by making pesto. People were like, you got all this basil, you gotta make some pesto. I kind of wimped out. I just dried out the basil and said, hey, I can use it for all these other things. I finally got the little cojones up today. And so this is our first time making it. I've never made it before today. This is the second batch. I figured I'd tape the second batch, not the first. And we're just gonna slide this in. You could use walnuts. You're supposed to use pine nuts, but pine nuts are really expensive. So I think walnuts and almonds are reasonable choices. I offered peanuts to someone. They thought I was nuts, so maybe not peanuts. But I tasted this. Tasted pretty good. So we're putting in a small mason jar, and I can freeze this. I may give some to my mother-in-law today, but we could freeze this, so that's a nice option. We can pull it out, like I said earlier, for up to a year. Or we may just use some, throw it in the fridge. And the other nice thing, putting this in the glass jars, we're not using plastic jars. Buying something at Costco in the plastic jar is kind of where we started with pesto, which Costco's not bad, but if we can do something a little homemade, maybe a little nicer, and that kind of fit just perfect into that. So we'll cap that up. It's nice and full, no oxygen. So homemade lemon pesto with some almonds.